Hi, my friends. It's Chit Chat Time with Jen again, and we're going to continue a series that I've been calling How to Catch a Horse, How Not to Catch Your Horse, because, that's a thing. And I'm going to go on to talk about stalled horses. And I've had quite a few, not a lot, because I believe in having your horses be out 24/7. But I've had quite a few horses that have been stalled 24/7 or half of the day and who are very aggressive in their stalls, meaning that the horse owner was terrified to even open up the stall door and hide behind whatever and allow the horse to go terrorizing through the barn out to the paddock. Yeah. So many years ago, I was called by a husband and wife new to horses, and they said, "Hey, Coach Jen, we would like to take riding lessons from you. We just bought a new horse. Could you come to our farm?" And I said, "Yes," because that's what I do. I go to farms and I check things out, and that's what I do. I was a traveling horse trainer instructor. And so the day that I went, it was in the late afternoon, and not knowing anything about this horse, of course, I just went because, they wanted riding lessons, and how fun is that? And because they were beginners, they didn't know very much about horses. And I love to teach beginners about horse husbandry, what we can do to improve their farm and their pasture because they just bought their little hobby farm. Unbeknownst to me, that they bought a horse that terrorizes them. Frightening. It was really, really scary, to the point where when I got there, they were terrified. They thought that I'm 5'5", could handle their terrorized demonic horse and get it so that they could ride. And I went, what? In fact, though, I've never heard of a more angry horse, really kicking at stall doors, at the walls, literally having a temper tantrum in the stall. And my idea was, wow, I'm not going over there and opening up that stall door and even putting a halter on that thing. It didn't even look like a horse. Now, there's a backstory to this. This couple had bought this horse from a local horse farm that raised and showed national horse, yeah. What are they called? They're national show ponies, horses. Excuse me, I get kind of confused every once in a while because I really don't know that breed. So, national horse something. They are called national show horses. They're a breed of horses that are half Arabian. They have to have half Arabian and I believe saddlebred. And the way that this horse had been training inside of an arena, they started to tell me the story. Literally, they rescued this horse from the abuse that this horse was undertaking from the owner, trainer, whomever. And so, big hearted people. I love the couple. They, had high hopes of rehabilitating this horse, but first, they needed to be safe around it. So, where I started, which sounded really funny, is how to catch a horse in a stall is kind of an interesting idea, especially one that's super aggressive and it was like it wanted to kill a human. And seriously, I don't blame it. So what I did is they had three stalls on one end and the barn door was on the other. And what I did is I opened up the barn door and stood at the door. There was, the aisle, between us. And when I opened up the door is when the horse started having what I call a mental break for a horse. And a horse that has a mental break, it started kicking the stall walls and started spinning and making all sorts of really unusual horse sounds. It was quite scary. And so what I did is I started playing with the barn door, and I started closing it so that he couldn't see me, but I still could see in somewhat. And as I started closing it, the horse started quieting down. What do you think about that? Isn't that interesting? And so as the horse started, reacting strongly, I needed to first keep myself safe, keep my humans, students safe, and keep the horse safe, because the poor horse was traumatized. I never have saw the training this horse went through, but I can just imagine. Tennessee walkers go through similar, different gaited horse breeds go through similar trainings. And so as I started slowly opening up the door and playing with that, the owners looked at me and they said, well, this is dumb. And I said, well, the horse realizes we're here and he's trying to tell us something. Don't come near me, or if you do come near, watch out, because I'm going to be super, super unhappy, aggressive. You're a human, and I'm going to tear out of here. The only way that they could really protect themselves was with a big whip, and then trying to get it in. They would make a pathway from the paddock to the barn and use their four-wheeler and drive it in, and one stall door would be open. That's kind of unbelievable. And as I learned more and more about this horse, my heart just broke, and I grieved for what this beautiful, magnificent horse went through in training. And as much as I appreciated the owners, they knew nothing about horses. They knew nothing about traumatized horses. They didn't have tools to help them. So my very first tool was to keep them safe and to figure out a plan that I could eventually walk up to the stall door and open it and allow the horse to go out without being hurt. Now that sounds really funny, but there was no way that day I was going to put a halter on that horse. So eventually, after an hour and a half of just slowly opening up the door and I was behind it, the horse started being quiet. Now, why was that? Because I wasn't going up to the stall and being a predator in his mind. And so the horse started to relax and not kick at the stall doors, not snorting, not, if you've heard of an angry horse or a terrified horse, their loud snorts, that was what earlier was going on in that stall. And so by the time that an hour and a half had passed, I was able to actually walk up to the stall door and stand there. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't looking at the horse. I wasn't talking to the horse. There was no food rewards, nothing. Because really, a traumatized horse does not need food at that time. Really, what it wanted to do was to escape humans and go out to the pasture and just be. And I don't blame it. So that was my first lesson with this horse and these beautiful humans who had all good intentions of rehabilitating this beautiful horse. And so I actually had my magical wand with a string on it. And as I opened up the stall door, the horse raced out and went out to pasture. And I felt that that was a wonderful end to that session. So why am I sharing this with you is that all over the world, there's horses in stalls that will bite and attack an owner at the stall door. And it's terrifying, especially when you're going in to feed them. So think about feeding them in that state. We are reinforcing that state of mind with that horse. Think about that. when we're putting feed, high energy feed, into a stalled horse that is traumatized, that is angry, and if you've ever seen that, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. So what we ended up doing is making a plan that every day they would ask permission behind the barn door, the door leading into the barn, by slowly opening it up, and when the horse got agitated, slowly closing it. Listening to that horse, so that by the time, and it could take an hour and a half, and that's not time they had, they said. And I said, well, um, I don't know. You can drug the horse, but that's not what I do. I want to get the horse's mind down to his feet. So they said that they would try it, and I'd be back in a week. And in a week, they were able to actually go. They did what I said twice a day, in the morning and at night. Only fed hay in the stall, only hay and water. That's it. No supplements, no nothing. No high energy sweet feeds, nothing. Because really what they need is to chew for hours to release that cortisol and adrenaline, and eventually that they'll start to calm down in the stall. Let's make that stall a wonderful safe haven, because a lot of horses feel it's like a trailer, and their energy is pent up to the point where they're going to explode and race out. Now, we did not halter and put a lead rope on. So the second lesson was, can we figure out what day that if we do this faithfully over time, can this magnificent horse walk out of the stall, and then, once it's in the paddock area, can it trot out to pasture instead of, like an explosive runaway freight train? Eventually, this is what happened, is that they gave up. They gave up on the horse. They gave up on the training. Why? Because it was hard. They didn't have the time that was needed. My heart broke, but I understood. They gave the horse back. So this horse never has really found healing from the trauma. So over my traveling the world and going to different horse facilities, I've seen this over and over again, horses that are stalled 24/7, because there's no property in some countries to put horses out. So that they're stalled except for that short period of time that they're working, and then put back in and given, I'm going to say, high energy supplements, and they're not fully closed in. They may have a window they can hang their head out, and if you're walking by, they're going to just attack and bite you. And that's what happened in Singapore and in Malaysia and in Taiwan, where I had gone in Asia, because there weren't places to put these horses out to pasture like in the United States. We're fortunate that there are opportunities for our horses to be out 24/7. So catching a horse in a stall sounds really easy, doesn't it? Until you have one of those horses. So if you're interested, if you have experienced that, let me know. Comment below. Let's continue to build this community of like-minded equestrians. And I just want you to know that um, I watch a lot of things. I watch things on, because I'm in Florida. Clearwater is the Scientology capital of the universe. And so I watch a lot of cultic things about people who have blown the cult of Scientology. I watch iguana hunters and python hunters, because you know what? I live in Florida, and I guess there's a huge, awful population of these iguanas and these pythons that aren't natural to Florida. So I want to know about it, and I think it's fascinating. What about you? And I also love to read books. I love reading books and I love writing. So, welcome to all my new subscribers. Please share this so that we can chat about hard things, fun things, and let's, build this community of inspired people. Blessings to you. Have a phenomenal day.